during the 1 week Mayhem League, I decided to play a low-life Righteous Fire Inquisitor. Now, it didn't start out as an Inquisitor. I started out as Freezing Pulse, and that quickly became a thing I hated because Freezing Pulse can't go through doorways and small objects. The second you stand next to a rock, all of a sudden you don't do damage. So I switched it into Righteous Fire just to check out how good can Inquisitor do Righteous Fire. Now, typically, I think when I do an ES Righteous Fire build, I'm thinking Trickster, I'm thinking Guardian. I don't really think other ascendancies can do it very well, but I figured I'd give Inquisitor a shot, and it failed miserably. I was able to kill all the endgame bosses with some decently good gear. It was a 5-link, no OP cluster jewels, just kind of okay cluster jewels. But the reality was, playing this character, I realized a lot of shortcomings in comparison to a Guardian or a Trickster would have. For example, if I played a Guardian, I would essentially have way more tankiness. This character did not have a lot of mitigation. A Guardian would add block, it would add phase reduction. This character didn't. So the second I'd have 20 Harbingers jump on me, I'd be insta-dead versus being able to absorb a lot of that damage. Stuff like that really makes Inquisitor end up falling short. Inquisitor has some nice touches where it gets a little bit extra regen. It gets stuff like ailment immunity. It gets nearby enemies take a little bit extra damage, but it really just doesn't compete with Guardians or Tricksters, in my opinion, from when I've played those ascendancies. So all in all, I'd say it's a bit of a flop. I'm going to be playing a Delve Trickster ES Righteous Fire and Mind Over Matter Righteous Fire initially, and then rotate into ES is my plan. Basically, I'm just trying to do this during these 1 week leagues to try to get a good feel for where Righteous Fire is for ES variants, because I've been playing a lot of Chieftain Righteous Fire in the past 2 leagues, actually. I've played a lot of Righteous Fire Chieftain, and I want to mix it up. I want to go do some ES versions of it, see where those are at, and see how they can compete with the life-based variants of Chieftain and whatnot, so I can give you guys a more accurate answers. When somebody asks me, hey, what ascendancies do you recommend, I want to make sure I test out all the ascendancies, make sure I'm up to date on what I believe works, and actually have some recent experience. I've done Trickster ES, done Trickster ES Righteous Fire. I've done Guardian Righteous Fire ES, but it's been a while. There's been new additions to the game. Lots of things have changed. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to test out Trickster Righteous Fire, and maybe in the flashback, maybe I'll try out Guardian Righteous Fire, try to get a feel for where all these different ascendancies are for ES Righteous Fire. So that way, if you guys in the future want to play a Righteous Fire build, I can have a good recommendation for you, what its strengths are, what it's good for, and give you some example footage of what you can get those builds to. That's been my basic plan. Real quick before I ended this video, I wanted to quickly go over and show you the type of gear I was working with in this video, so you'd have an idea of where I was at and what I was able to take Inquisitor with and still be able to kill Uber Elder, Uber Azeri, all the Guardians with. I have to say, Flamewall was my 5-link. It was hard carrying a lot for my single target. Because my sustain and defenses were really poor, I just barely sustained ES with the Inquisitor. I couldn't really stand and face tank things much. If I had a Guardian, I probably could have set up much better to be face tanking, in which case it would be much easier to have both my Righteous Fire and my Flame Wall dealing damage on a boss. With this character, I had to put Flame Walls down and just keep running around and turn Righteous Fire on and off a lot. So I ended up having my 5-link be my Flame Wall, and I had 4-link Righteous Fire. Outside of that, I had I bricked this in the video, I was just corrupting it for fun, but this was previously a Presence of Chiula. It gives you a lot of extra ES. These are great for low-life ES things. Often, if you're doing low-life ES, a great ring would be a Chevron's Revelation Moonstone ring, but none of those really existed in the league. For the shield, I just kind of had an okay 200 ES shield. Nothing too crazy there. For the wand, I had a decent wand here. It had fire damage on it, had damage over time multiplier. If I had the betrayal crafts, I could have crafted fire dot multi, would have been a huge upgrade. Really, there's nothing too crazy about this gear. It's decent gear, honestly, for being 3 to 4 days into the league. I think it's really pretty good. But when you're optimizing a character, this is really pretty suboptimal for an ES Righteous Fire build. You can get a decent amount better in terms of upgrades. As far as I'm concerned, when it comes to min-maxing characters that are ES Righteous Fire versus Life Righteous Fire, there's a lot more you can get out of your gear when it comes to energy shield builds than you can life builds, in my opinion, and I definitely didn't have a lot of the min-maxing there that I could have gotten. As for my cluster jewels, it was pretty much I didn't have that much currency in between Scours and Alks, so I basically just went with what I could get in terms of medium cluster jewels. I went for Burning Bright, and then ideally I'd want Burning Bright and like Vile Reinvigoration, something like that sort of combo that would give me ES regen and ES and dot multi or damage over time, but instead I just had Burning Brights with Student Decay or Smoking Remains with Vile Reinvigorations or Burning Bright with Circling Oblivion. You know, nothing that was really nothing super optimal. For the large jewels, I just had Burning Bright somewhere on the travel. Again, not super optimal. Just kind of Alk scoured a few times until I got one Burning Bright or a couple decent nodes, and I ran with it. Really, all I'm just trying to show you this just to give you an idea of this is a level 90 character. It's not optimized. The reality is Low Life Righteous Fire Flamewall is really pretty good damage-wise. The reality is I think I was getting close to probably 1.5 million, maybe 2 million, somewhere in that range of damage, just if I was rough estimating. I didn't POB it, but just from doing those fights, it felt like I had a decent amount of DPS. I mean, you can go back and watch the clips of how fast I was killing Shapers full life and Elder full life and whatnot. And I feel like it was pretty decent damage for really pretty suboptimal gear, not quality jewels, not leveled jewels, stuff like that. Minus my Flame Wall and my Righteous Fire, I did buy 21 variants, but everything else, like the support gems, are not leveled fully, they're not qualityed, stuff like that. The reality is there's a lot of room for Low Life Righteous Fire, but just from this experience, I would not recommend Inquisitor at all. I'd say it was quite suboptimal from my previous experiences when I've done Guardian and Trickster. I think those are a decent amount farther ahead of Inquisitor, and I thought this would be the case going into it, but I wanted to give it a fair shake. I wanted to try it out because it does have something going for it when it has the ES regen. It has Consecrated Ground, which gives you regen as well. It gives nearby enemies take elemental damage, and it gives you some attack and cast speed, so maybe it feels good, quality of life, maybe you're moving around. The reality is that quality of life did not make up for the amount of defenses I lose from not being Guardian, and the amount of sustain I lose from not being Guardian, and the amount of damage I lose from not being Trickster. Stuff like that really kind of puts this in a much worse category, in my opinion, than those other two Ascendancies. So that's the video. Hopefully during the Delve Endless event, I'll be testing out Righteous Fire, Trickster. I'm going to be doing low life without a Shavs because I'm thinking I can avoid chaos damage in the Delve Mines, and that's my naive theory, and we'll see how that goes. But hopefully you guys enjoy this video. I'm planning to test out, maybe I'll test out Guardian in the flashback event for Righteous Fire, so that way going into the next league, I can have a good idea of where ES Righteous Fire is and a good idea of what to recommend to you guys. So that's the video. Hope you have a good one, and I will see you all later.